Hey guys, this is a pre-recorded match. We're playing against Chef YB on Dry Arabia. He's playing as the Ottomans, and we're playing as the Mongols. I thought this was a pretty good match to showcase in terms of kind of how to deal with the Ottomans in some regards, and then um, yeah, I thought it was a pretty decent match. So we start off. Our opponent over here, we're not privy to this, but he's dropping a barrack, so he's expecting some sort of tower rush, and he might be want to contest in Dark Age to get the Vizier point out. So this is probably why you could see a barracks being dropped first, is to basically contest in Dark Age. Again, it's an interesting move because it's basically we win initially, then the Vizier point happens, the Mons pop out, and then he's gonna win. So he definitely is trying to contest um, in a Dark Age play. The only issue is when you contest for Dark Age like this, sometimes Mongols spawn with their Uvu safe, right? So, like in this case, so basically there's nothing he can actually do, and he's just delaying himself in the long run. So, it's a matchup one has to be aware of that it's a possibility. But as the Mongols, as long as you have a safe spawn, you don't really have to worry about it too much. And specifically with my opening, I think it's good to be um, you don't really have to worry about it at all, really. So we're just doing our standard age up. We'll switch this over to villager counts so you guys can kind of see the build order. Again, it's just our 9-2. He's sending his spearman over with this scout. I think sending the spearman over in pairs isn't really worth it. I think it's better to push it to push over early with the spearman, right? Because there's like if these spearmen had already hit, like that slows down my gold production and everything. So he also could have stuck through here, like he did with his scout. So him taking a little bit more time going over and around actually does kind of hurt him. And so he's coming to harass, but we're gonna get our 200 gold and we're gonna be fine. So this harass comes in too late, and it's not really gonna be productive for him. So a little bit of a mess up on his part. I think this build. It's too all in, right? Kind of like we used to do a Dark Age Horseman rush. It's just it can work out, but it can be just too all in because of RNG factors, and then it's too easy to counter. Especially the Dark Age Horseman rush, right? Because he's got an answer in Dark Age with Spearman for almost every set except English, but English doesn't really need the Spearman anyways because you can just Archer, Villager Archer. So we're gonna pick up. We're gonna reset up. We lose track of his guys here. Uh, we know that they headed out this way, and so we're gonna take this opportunity that we assume that he's over here, and that his scout is off doing scout things, which it is. We're gonna take this opportunity to pull over here and drop an outpost and bring the Gur over. So if we look at his vision, he doesn't see this. He doesn't know that it's happening. He does see the silver tree, but he's tapping up with his twin minaret, and it's not too far behind us, so he hasn't hurt himself too much in terms of his age up time. So he's got to be pretty happy with that. And yeah, he's actually coming over here, and we get pretty lucky because we are just out of range. And it's kind of funny, like I feel like the range sometimes like gets flattened. Like on the stealth trees it gets flattened. On buildings I almost feel like it gets flattened, right? He was right on the edge. It almost felt like he got flattened there against the Gur. I think we would have committed to building this regardless and still gotten it up. But not having to deal with that micro is always nice, right? So we're aged up. and he's just kind of chilling around our base. And we're coming in to scout now. And what do we see? We see 3 on gold. This could be a fast castle, but with 3 on gold, it's not an indicator of fast castle per se. It could just be ecotechs, and which it is what we see that he is getting, right? But we are going to sit and we're going to harass this. But as long as it's just 3 on gold, we can expect this being kind of a boomy ecotech kind of a play, right? So we're not too worried about this. Also, one thing to note, there is no military school up for him, right? He drops this tower here, and we're going to harass the best we can. Here comes our Mangadai. A little bit late. He does snipe out one of our sheep. A little bit unfortunate. And, yeah, so we can't really do anything about this, but we're just going to harass how we can. His scout is going to spot us, and we're just going to hit those gold villagers, right? They're not going to, I mean, it's pseudo in range of the tower, but not really, right? One thing is being right at the base of the tower, and another thing is being this many tiles away, right? Because he's going to react with these vills, but honestly, you could almost want to react with these vills. React with garrison these and pull these back to get damage in. So we get a little bit of damage here. We have our silver tree set up, and dropping our stable now. We are floating a little bit of wood. I would like to see something happen with this wood, whether it be a range, a pasture, or a trader. There we go, it is a trader. And we're wrapping around the back. We're trying to find his blacksmith, his military school. Where's his production block going to be, right? The Ottomans love to do production blocks. And he's got a range and he's got a stable, but he doesn't have a production block. So I'm pretty confused, and it kind of makes sense because he's gone with the barracks, right, as his opener. So, with that in mind, we kind of realize that he's behind in terms of his military school mass, right, which is an important thing for the Ottomans, and it is a timing thing for the Ottomans as well. Dropping this vision, we do spot his villagers pulling. We do mess up the micro here a little bit. It would have been nice to have both the Khan and the other Mangadai here, because we would have killed this vill sooner and possibly another one. So a little bit of a mistake there. Losing out a little bit of DPS. He does try to snipe our Mangadai here. We are paying attention. It doesn't happen. He stops collecting gold. We have a second scout out. Just for vision here, you always want to try to keep tabs on him. And we're trying to see when he's dropping his block, right? So his first military school is here, and it's tight, and there's not much we can do about that. But his blacksmith and his further expansions here are going to be hittable when he tries to drop them. So that's kind of what we want to deal with, right? So exactly like this, right? He's coming out to drop this blacksmith, right? And now he's getting peppered. And we lose. This scout accidentally aggroes in, and he's dropping his next block in, right? But we've taken out one villager, and we can harass these guys. Need to wrap around, but we can prevent this second military school as well if we commit to it. Unfortunately, we don't. And I think that's a little bit of a mistake. We're kind of macroing behind this, dropping things over here. I'm guessing, dropping another market. Doing that kind of macro stuff, but we definitely could have aggroed onto that villager there. And then that's the other thing. This blacksmith comes up, so we have an opportunity to deny here a little bit better, and we decide not to. We just decide to keep our mass kind of healthy and away from arrow fires, because he's going to start picking up archer mass now. And we got vision on the back here when he starts dropping production in the very back. And yeah, we're just keeping tabs on the goal. We've already killed 3 villagers, so we're pretty happy there. And we do send in one hero Keshik. We should have just hit once and then ran, to be honest. But now we're going to get chased down by Sapahi and get taken out. So he is producing Sapahi from his military school, so he's going to be happy with that. So since he's just now investing into it, and it's somewhat of a boom play when you do this. This is why we dropped the two. We have the second market, and we're investing in two markets because we're just going to try to keep ahead. We felt like we had a decent military mass, and we were ahead of his military mass, and so we're going to just play it slightly defensive and just go from there. He is going to start looking for a raid behind this, and we kind of knew there was a chance of this kind of happening. Besides this tower here, we have another tower up here on this deer patch, giving us some good mid-map vision and presence as well. And that really helps, like, to let you know what's kind of happening, right? So we rallied up to 11 villagers on wood, which I find is a really good number to quit at. We try to find something happening here on the back if he's dropping more on his block, which he isn't yet. He's happy with his two stables, two military schools, mass Sapaki, right? He pulls his villagers up to the other wood line. And we're just harassing where we can. We do spot down here his Sapaki. We've already garrisoned our village, so we were paying really good attention to the mini-map this game. Because we knew he had like a massive Sapaki out, so we were kind of expecting a raid at one point or another. And luckily, we had Keshiks already on the way. We rallied our troops to the back here because we were expecting this kind of a raid, right? So we check his gold. We don't see anything on gold. This is still a kind of a feudal committal then. He's not going to go to castle yet, and we're just harassing where we can, right, in terms of driving this army back. And we are going to bring these guys back. We were going to bring them back to this side to prevent a second flank, because it's usually, you get hit from both sides at once. And we see his Sapaki over here. But we're going to clean up these Sapaki first. Even though, I mean, it's just one Sapaki, right? But the scout is a big deal because it gives a lot of vision. And an army without a scout is can be a really bad thing to have. So we drop our speedo. We want to catch this guy. I don't want him to escape with his vision. And we kind of forget about the raid that was coming. Like, we saw the raid, but then we forget, and so we react now a little bit late. And down over here, we're up to 9 traders. We're going to start losing some. We've pulled a couple of villagers over here to build a tower, but it's going to probably come in too late. And we were kind of aware of this. But I was kind of willing to sacrifice these 3 villagers because we already had, in terms of villager kills, we knew we were kind of already ahead. And so if he's going to take out traders, I mean, it sucks, but it's not the end of the world, right? And on the plus side with my traders is I've got 2 markets, so they're a little bit more expendable than my villagers are. And we're just going to chase down this army, right? Behind this, he's looking to castle, right? So he's happy with this little bit of aggression, and he's going to be content with just doing that. And yeah, we're massing up a little bit of army. We're still setting up trade. We're up to 12 traders now. And we're just trying to chase him out of here, right? Now, we see that he's pulling his army out and back, which for us indicates that he's going to attack from the other side, right? Because this is what we do, right? We hit one side, pull the army there, and then hit the other side, right? So he's pulled our army, chased him all this way around, and basically we haven't gotten anything from it, and so we're going to pull our army over, and lo and behold, he's got his meter over here with attack speed, and he's taking out traders, right? So he kills a couple of traders here, and what we're going to do is we're going to push forward with this, see what we can find in terms of his base. And we're going to clean this up with our Keshik. We do have 3 Keshik here, which is going to be able to clean this up without much problem. Plus side is we pop that meta first and quickly. He does have his raid coming in again. We do miss this, but at the same time, we get a nice little raid over here. So we're going to trade out villagers here. And I think we react, but it's like last second, right? So I only can save 1 vill. And he loses all of his villagers here. So he loses 7 vills. and we've lost 9 total, right? But in terms of villagers, there's 3 and 4, so we've lost 7 villagers and a couple traders, right? Again, I'd rather lose traders than villagers. They're more expensive, but they're more replaceable, right? Because it's easy to drop the markets, right? There's a lot less behind all that. So his army is pulling back, and we're going to be able to catch it in transition. We've got 5 Keshik here, which is more than enough to deal with this if it's just the Keshik, but the Mangada are going to help get some damage in. We try to chase. And behind this, we're rallying over here to this side. So we're not going to get... We're going to control the left side and rally to the right side. Try to hold this. We're going to drop an outpost too, start getting Yam, Aura, and we're at 14 traders. And we're looking to age up, but we're not looking to age up, right? We have to maintain map control and presence. He's massed up his Sipahis again, and he's going to go push. He's making a ton of Janissaries. He's up, and his block is all set up, right? Now he's at 4 military schools. 1 on Metter, 1 on Sipahi, 2 on Sipahi, 1 on Spearman. That 1 on Spearman is probably a mistake. I don't think he was. So we start burning over here. A little bit of a mistake, right? We probably could have come up through here. Got another bunch of villager kills, but it's okay. Not a big deal. And we're still massing over here. His army's about to hit. But this is what? 9 Castle Age horsemen, basically. And we've got 8 Keshiks here. Soon to be 9. So we absolutely shut down this army, no problem. And this is what I mean by not being too worried about staying in our age. Because if he brings Castle Age Knights, which he can, it's going to be a pretty good investment into him. Either way, we got a tower and we got a good number right now. So run into his spearman over here, and we're just going to harass him and keep fighting. And he's just getting another mass up. We're looking to age up now with the Kurultai. Ecotex, we're about the same. We have our horticulture, well, he doesn't yet. That's another thing too. If you look at his food, like, yeah, he's just chewing up his berries, right? Because he's getting so much from the Twin Minaret. So it's a very strong landmark, and it really helps for the turtliness of the Civ. So from our point of view, we see the mangoes, and we fall back before the shot takes off. We probably could have delayed that pullback a little bit more. And right now, drop our attack speed arrow because we want this to get a little bit more damage in. And he's got 5 armor right now because of the metters. Well, actually, the metters aren't doing it. He's just got +2. Okay, well, either way, we're only doing 1 damage with our Mangada, which is really, really bad, right? But behind this, our other army is kind of coming forward. We see that he had his whole army here and was kind of committed to us. So that's why we came forward, right? We know that he's, somewhere in the mix here, right? So we're checking out this gold, checking out this stone. We knew that there was this forward golden stone, and perhaps he was on that. But we just wanted to make sure that he wasn't setting up, any infrastructure over here yet. Sometimes if he's really heavy on gold, which he is, he can mine that out fairly quick and be moving over to the next one. So we're getting all of our upgrades right now. We have the gold for it, which is the nice thing about having a booming trade line. We only have 14 traders, though. It would be nice to get a couple more. But we've got 3 towers over here, which is a pretty big deal. Would be nice to move this Uvu, drop another Uvu because we do need that that upgrade. And veteran horsemen is coming through too. We're not making a lot of horsemen, but when we do make horsemen, we're going to want them to be veteran, right? So we catch this mango out in a position, and we catch these villagers on the deer. It's a good double-pronged attack, and we catch this mango out as well. So really big picks here, right? And while this was happening, he was coming to raid us. He was coming to raid us, and he gets caught out of position. Unfortunately, this army over here gets caught right into his army, so we almost get cleaned up with our second army over here. But we do pick 2 mangoes, which is a really, really big swing, right? Because all of his tempo with that mangoes is gone now because of the double-pronged attack. So it worked out really well into our favor there. A wall here would really mess us up, right? We run into this Imam, but we didn't actually see it, so a little bit unfortunate there. So he's able to snag that relic from us. and we're making our prayer tent. We got our siege workshops out, and we got a lot of food floating. So this is when we're going to start pumping horsemen, and this is kind of why we need that horseman tech too, right? If we start pumping horsemen, if we pump a few there, right? So we're going to bring Kurultai over to here. We're kind of expecting an attack more on this side because this is kind of where he's made his biggest attacks. But we spot all of his Sapahi over here. And plus side again of having a Keshik with your, or with a raider, a scout with your army, a Keshik with your army, or a Khan with your army. And so we're going to be able to spot that, and that kind of makes him want to pull back and out. Behind this, he's walling this. He's setting up on this gold node, like we were saying. He was moving on to the next one. Kind of surprised he didn't go for this one. But we're bringing our army kind of close, getting our Mangudai together because the Mangudai are most effective with the Khan. And his army does show up here, right? So, again, this is all Sapahi. Again, I'm not sure why he's trying to fight the Sapahi into the Keshik mass. It's just not a good trade for him, especially now that we're Castle Age Keshiks, and we've got the Kurultai buff. But now we've got Yan Network almost through the whole thing, right? So we're not going to get outpaced by him. And he tries to get some villager kills here, and he's able to get 0 villager kills here, which is a really big deal, right? Because basically he loses... I mean, I don't know how many Sapahi. That was like 20 Sapahi, 18 Sapahi that he loses for basically nothing. He almost takes out 1 villager here, but we're able to garrison it in time. So that's a really big swing, right? He loses all of his cav, and now he's making knights, which is good. I think he's realized that the Sapahi are not the right answer, right? If you're trying to raid, like even if there's 20 Sapahis, if he had hit 4 different points with 5, or 5 different points with 4, come to the middle and you just rally them in different areas, that would have been so much more effective than trying to do a big mass push, because it's a lot more tidy and easy for us to react to it. So, and he's kind of worried. That's why he's kind of consolidated here with his play. So we're coming forward. We do spot the spearman, but unintentionally we see this spearman. It wasn't actually part of our plan. Over here we got Yam, and over here we got Yam. We need a couple more towers here to increase the speed here at the end there. And we got a decent sized army here. Again, this is what, 35, 40 troops. So it's the majority of our army. But over here, again, we're going to rally our troops over to this other side. Everything's rallying over here. Siege is rallying over here. And now we've got the siege mass, right? Because we're investing in our siege, and he's just getting the free siege from his MIA. So we run to the back here. We find this wall. We're going to start burning this. And we dropped our falcon here, right? So he was going to move out with his army, but we see him turn back and double back here. Ping goes off. He's able to snipe a villager with that 1 lone spearman, but the tower is upgraded and we're able to get the kill here. A little bit unfortunate. Mangonel's going to drop in 5 seconds, so we almost cut the rotation on it just by chance, so that would have been a big deal to lose that another Mangonel right there. But his slow-moving army is moving around. We knew that it was moving around. It was going to be coming around here. So what we're going to do is just peel back and be safe. And we were just going to run here, and now we know there's a wall here. So this is kind of a rough situation because we're going to get hit by those mango shots. We probably could have done better to dodge this. We sacrificed a couple of Keshiks just to delay the chase here. As long as it's slowed down, he's not going to be able to like really engage on those Mangudai. So over here we get a couple of villager kills. That's like 4 villagers, 5, 6, 7 villagers we kick out. And as long as we engage this army without the Janissaries, like even if we trade out, we're not going to be, we're not winning this fight trading out, but we are going to do decent damage, right? Because he's got, you can take this fight without the Janissaries showing up. We can take decent damage, and do decent damage rather. But behind all of this, we got Mangos over here. We got our army rallying over to the side still. And this was unfortunately the main majority of our army, but we were kind of happy with the damage it did. And we have another little attachment over here distracting. He's pulling his Janissaries over there to deal with this, and that definitely is a big distraction for him. 1 second. Sorry about that pause, guys. So we're raiding over here. She's coming over, pulling and reacting. We kind of expect him to come react, but we're gonna get some good veil kills here. And since he's got Janissaries, is really his solution to us. We know that it's gonna take him a minute to kind of react here. So we're just paying attention. Good trade into just a couple of lone Janissaries always is worthwhile to take. And we want to start burning down, but his main army shows up, so we're going to fall back here. And we're still rallying troops over here to defend our siege, and we have a nice siege ball now, right? We have 5 mangoes, we got 3 springles on the way, and then he's got his army over here coming. So we're rallying now down here to react here. We're going to pull our small amount of cav here. Most of our army had already died, and this force was unfortunately kind of funneled into here. He does repair this wall on the back. So we're going to come over to try to deal with this raid over here, which is now Lancer, so it's actually a lot more formidable than it was before. But we have a lot of infrastructure here, right? So our army quickly is able to kind of outnumber this. I think he does pull out of this fight a little sooner than he has to. I think he wants to delay as much as he can being here, but being under those springle towers definitely hurts. Our army over here, we were able to kind of escape, not with everything by any means, we only survived with a couple, but it's better than nothing. But now that his main infantry force was moving forward, we have to react by bringing our siege over, which is what we're doing. We're starting to bring our siege over, bringing our Kurultai over. We do realize now that we need our superior mobility upgrades. It'd be nice to see that come through. And we're at 21 traders, so we need a couple more. We do drop a couple markets on this backside just to accelerate the recovery and just the level of our gold income in general. And we have 34 villagers on wood right now, which is a lot of villagers on wood. So siege is definitely a big thing. Dropping pastures is a big thing, and then dropping infrastructure for our army is going to be a big thing. So our army's here. He isn't pushing us. If he had pushed us, it really wouldn't have mattered. He might have gotten into like our base here, but we would have been able to hold the problem. Since we were already shuffling over, superior mobility is coming through, as well as greased axles, which is really going to help, especially with the Yamora for our mangonels now. So our army's here. We have a little bit smaller army than his, but army value-wise, it's the same. And we're just gonna creep our Kurultai forward. We have to be careful. We know he's got a decent force of knights running around. Most of them had survived. So we just have to take a good fight. We have to take a fight with those Janissaries. And we see his army over here, and if you look at him, all he sees is our cav. Now he sees the Kurultai. And now he sees the siege ball, right? And maybe he doesn't see the siege ball if he's not like looking properly. But he definitely sees it now. So we try to bait him by pulling our army to the side here, so he feels really comfortable about diving us here. And our mangoes take a nice big hit on those Janissaries. And yeah, taking out that Janissary mass is a really big deal because that's really the threat here. It's not so much his knights. Even if we lose these guys, it's the mangoes and it's the Janissaries that are the big threats here. So we're able to snipe out all that. We trade out quite a few mangoes for this, but we've got a lot of wood production and we're going to send more. One mango gets lost in translation, unfortunately. We're up to 28 traders now. And off of that big mass, after that big fight, his army's really in the dumps. Now he's basically relying on military school production, and he doesn't have infrastructure set up to build a lot of army either, right? He's got 3 ranges, 2 stables, and a barracks. So even if he had the resources for it, he doesn't have the same amount of production that we have, so we can just basically swarm him at this point. Trebuchet is coming to start sieging down slow and steady. Yeah, so he can see all these raids coming in basically. There's a raid coming in over here. He was trying to wall in, so there's a little bit of a slow play here. He sees that the siege is unattended, but we do have more units coming up, and Springlords are going to do decent against these knights in terms of DPS, but he's trading out for like 20 villagers here, 30 villagers, so he loses all of those villagers to take out my mangoes, and he loses his 4 knights here, right? And I still have my Springlords, and really the main thing at this point, after having killed his Janissary mass, what I'm really worried about is mangoes, right? So I'm happy to have traded at this point and still have my Springlords here and him take out my mangoes. Either way, we have a lot of villagers on wood and we'll be okay here. We do pull a couple of wood villagers onto this boar just to consolidate, and we find his Janissaries here, and we're able to dive this one mango that spawns out and wrap on these Janissaries, which is really big to be able to fully get a wrap on those and kill those. So we also shut down this gold over here. So behind this is basically his pocket of the villagers left is basically right there, right? A couple of villagers here, a couple of villagers here. And at this point, I'd say that this match is pretty much over, right? We're up to 33 traders, and yeah, just slow and steady, letting our siege kind of do all the work here in the front. Our raids doing the stuff on the sides, and I was worried that he might be doing things elsewhere, so I thought he might be on these deer, roaching on these deer since they were so spread. I thought there was a possibility he had dropped infrastructure here. And what we find is he was actually on the berries, but he's reacted and he pulls them out. And he does a nice little move here. He goes over and around. He knows that I can see this. And I'm going to go for this and go up. And he's just going to wrap all the way around. And he's got 8 Janissaries out. 8 Janissaries, 5 Knights against 16 Keshiks. And just look at how effective these Janissaries are killing my units, right? And we're microing our knights because we have to be hitting these Janissaries. Even more important than hitting the knights is to hit those Janissaries. So we take out a lot of Janissaries there, but you can see, like, if we hadn't taken out those mana Janissaries, he wouldn't have lost probably even a knight, maybe like 2 knights, and we would have lost all of our Keshiks. So really important that there's a little bit of micro there when dealing with Janissaries. If there's no spears and you can't actually micro it, right? We are capturing Sacred Site behind this. Next con is up, and we're just running around trying to get raids in. We do set the curl tie up at the front of his base. His army's here. Again, we're always attentive with our siege. Sometimes, you know, if you leave him exposed, it'll bait the army to come out. You just have to time it right. You do have to be careful. For example, this siege is exposed, and a little bit of shitty micro, and I can't dive onto it, so I lose these 5 or 6 Keshiks over there. But again, we're in a great spot. Nothing to really worry about here. We're just basically on cruise control at this point. 34 pastures, what? 41 traders, yeah, so we're population max and he's at 70, right? So it's just over at this point. And yeah, you can't really dive these Springlords, right? A little bit of stuff going on back there. He's on these deer over here. He finishes that deer. There's no more food left on the map for him. All of his gold is right here. He did rebuild a moss, so he's going to collect gold there. Just good on him. He's attentive in that regard. Mango hits us. But yeah, Spring will take care of it. And that's the big plus of having a bunch of a Springald mass, because not only are they effective against like the mangoes and all that type of stuff, they're also really good DPS in general, right? That one mango took out those Janissaries. So he taps out after this. He has no army left behind this, and it's just going to be kind of a slow and steady, you know, kill from here. Basically, we just keep raiding and pushing with our Keshik. So that was a pretty good match. I did like how that one went. And let's see another game. I've been doing a couple of mess around games. This was just a quit out. We played a bunch of late games, and um, it was just a bad deal. Well, we'll look at this one. So this one was a pretty cool match. It was a Byzantine Mirror against Felipe of Fire. He's a Conqueror too, and really it was our match to lose with this game. Just a little bit of lazy micro, and it just kind of snowballed. And that's kind of also where you can see the strength of some of these higher up conch players is how quickly they can turn a situation to their favor. So we're just doing our standard build here to age up, and he's doing his variation of a Byzantine opener, which is one on cistern, and then one more on food off at the start. And he builds his house with his villager and the mining camp. But he goes up to 6 on food off a rip, right? And then he's rotating onto this. And basically our house and mining camp is done before. And our food lags a little bit, but our gold is in a little bit better spot. Which I would argue is kind of the linchpin in the build. But again, minimal difference in an opener. It's not going to really make or break you, I would say. Scouting pattern, we go up and aggressive, find the neutral market, take his sheep. He does a more soft, take the middle, wrap around the side, and come back. And he's got 7 sheep, so he's got a nice little haul. And we've got our 8 sheep already. So the big thing is find that neutral market, check out around there. For example, over here, he's got 1, 2. There's just 2 sheep, 3 sheep. So he's got 3 sheep over here, but right by the market there was 3, 4 sheep, right? And that's kind of what consistently happens. Is there's always a couple sheep here. This market's got 1 sheep, and he picked up the other 2, so there's always a good amount of sheep by the market. So it's always important to try to hit those. So we're tapping up now, Imperial Hippodrome. You can see his gold is what's lacking, not his food. But he does have 1 more villager on wood, so he's got a little bit of a kickstart on his wood, which is kind of important for him because he is opening without a production building, right? So he starts his Grand Winery a little bit later than us. So there's definitely a little bit of a tempo timing advantage with our build, and the intention of the build is a fast H2 kind of aggression build, so that's probably a good thing, right? But here we're scouting, picked up a couple more sheep, and overall we're basically on the same amount of sheep. I've got 1 more sheep overall right now, and then if I pick this one up, will be 2 more sheep overall. And then it just kind of depends on this sheep, which it looks like he's gonna get, right? Hippodrome's almost done. We rally 4 onto wood. Then we're gonna rally 2 onto food. That's gonna allow us to drop a production building pretty fast. And this is kind of the interesting matchup in Byzantine versus Byzantine, is kind of how you take you always are gonna need Limitane, basically, right? That's very important that you drop a barracks. But when you do it and how you transition it is pretty important, right? So we're aged up. We're producing our first horseman, and he's sending his villagers out to the Grand Winery. There is a build that I test around with that finishes about 30 seconds faster, 20 to 30 seconds faster, but I don't think it's super necessary, perhaps. There isn't too much like denial that I would get, right? Besides just the berries, I guess I could slow down a little bit, but I can't truly dive the berries because it's under TC. But even idling the berries, if they get garrisoned, those villagers, it's they lose the olive oil, so it's a pretty big deal. So we're able to harass him off of gold a little bit. He's very ballsy. He just goes right back. He's not too worried about it. And brings his Limatane over. We do spot the Limatane, so we're going to split our horse. A little bit of overclick there. We get the little sneak in. Get the other sneak in. Drop our Triumph. And then we just have to be careful about this spearman, right? And he's stacking up a lot of oil here, so we probably could have wrapped around and dealt with that oil a little bit better, but it is what it is. But we have dropped our archery range now, which is something that's really important, is that transition to your counter, your counter, which is happening. And this is where we get a little bit sloppy with our micro, right? Because he's got vision of us, and we didn't pull our horseman back far enough, right? And what happens here is we lose our horseman, which is a pretty big deal. You don't want to be losing military units this early. So again, kind of unfortunate we lose this guy. We do have a triumph though, so we're gonna be able to snipe another villager. Again, we're ahead in villagers, so it's a nice little advantage that we pulled ahead. But we are, one horseman down and a little bit. These two horsemen are not even one horseman's worth of life right now, right? So this is what I mean by getting a little bit lazy with our micro. Our archer's here, but we brought the spearman to our archer instead of our archer to the spearman. So that's actually a really big deal. His mercenary house has gone up, and our archers isn't being aggressive as possible, right? Our archers should be able to push them under TC and then push these guys off of berries. And that's really important that happens, because you're not getting DPS, you're not getting worth out of these guys, and he's going to have jab throwers coming out, which I just totally spaced, right? I should know that there's javelin throwers coming out, but I wasn't reacting to it properly. So our archers are harassing over here. We're harassing on this, and yeah, we're floating food. It'd be nice to start buying some horsemen here. Get another horseman in queue, and we're just we're microing here, but it's not super good micro. Over here, we're able to dive again. We're able to get another kill, and then we pull open and out, and it's really unfortunate because if we had seen these villagers pulling here, if we denied this going up, it'd be a GG moment, right? And part of it is because these archers were just camping his gold. Like his gold, yeah, it's gonna give him eco tax, it's gonna give him perhaps a castle play, whatever. But really, what's most important right now is his food, right? So I finally come over to the berries, but this is like 20-30 seconds late. And by the time I've realized that he's over here, it's already too late. He's already got an outpost up. So that was a big tempo thing that we missed our opportunity to shut that down properly. If our archers were working over and holding this, our horsemen could have been raiding from another side and doing things a little bit better. So a little bit unfortunate we lose vision of this. And having so much food in the bank, idle time, getting another scout out and dropping it on this side to be able to catch that rotation as it's happening would have been a really big deal, right? So now the jab throwers are out, and they're gonna start just chunking our archers. And we try to fight the Limatane here. We micro them back, but again we have to be fairly careful here because we don't want to take a bad fight into this. But again, at this point now that it's jabs and Limatane, we really need to be rotating, dropping a barracks of our own, and start producing spearmen. The cav ball honestly could be 2 or 3 horsemen more right now at this point if we've been playing cleaner and not taking damage or not lost like the unnecessary ones, which is fine. But the big thing too is just transition into spear, something to be able to fight his main army, right? because that's what we really need. And what's going to beat Limitane and Jav throwers is, besides having a couple more, having archers and Jav throwers like a split balance. What you really need is mass Limitane is what you need. So the archer is good to have a small mass to be able to kite the Limitane and do damage to the Limitane, but you really need mass Limitane to deal with the Jav throwers. So we're coming in for another raid over here. He does have a couple of spearmen here, which is a little bit unfortunate. So, well, this is basically the throw moment of the match, is because we click these guys over and we don't even micro it really. We don't, like, we checked real quick, but we didn't see the spearmen. We just saw the villagers. So we get one villager kill, and we're gonna lose four horsemen and a scout, and we trade out against two spears. So 100% not worth it, right? Meanwhile, over here, like, if we had those horses still alive, it'd be a big deal to be able to come back and wrap around, right? Because our archers could be able to deal with this mass, and we could deal with this. So we have to fall back now, and we have to remass up, and we don't have really a good infrastructure to do this. And what we're doing too is dropping another range, which I feel is just a bad move here. Which you, like, if we had a secondary barracks, this would have been much better. So our reaction here was really bad. We have a lead in villagers, right? We have a substantial villager lead. So we have a lead. But our food ecos where we're suffering, right? And where everything's invested onto wood because we're going to go into double archers. But we lose our cav mass, which is a big deal. We try to sneak in a raid there, nothing happens. And we're just steady losing archers here, right? So it's a lot of destroyed value. That's to our opponent's favor here. Drop a tower here just in case to defend this wood line, but really we need to pull like 10 of these villagers and go right onto here. Because right here we've got 20 villagers, and you only need 10 really for one barracks, or for one range. Constant production, so we should have dropped a range. We should have dropped 2 barracks and started cranking out Limitane, because that's the only way we hold and push this back properly. Also, our Iron Undermesh comes in way late. We have the ability to get the upgrade, and we're getting it back here. So a little bit of a mess up having so many villagers. Oh, sorry, we have the upgrade over here, and we're not, spending it properly. So, he's looking to castle behind this. That's why he transitions 5 villagers onto here. He's not going to make any more troops, and basically we just have to deal with 14 Limitane and 11 Jav throwers, and we didn't. We lost a lot of troops. And basically, if we don't lose that mass, we can deal with this no problem, right? Right now, as is, we can push into this. But since we lose our mass, we're not able to really deal with this. And now we're dropping a blacksmith and 1 barracks, but we needed this barracks sooner, right? So we'd have to drop another barracks basically right now, and then we need to pull like 10 more villagers, 10 of these villagers off, and go into food. And again, it's just all a little bit too late, really, in terms of our reaction. And he's going to be looking to castle here shortly, right? He's going to be castled shortly. He's getting his techs. He's getting his siege tech. We lose 1 villager. And he's just kind of normalizing the count here. And we have 13 archers. And we see him starting to build this, so we have to just keep massing up. And we're going to pull these villagers just to the other side, right? No sense in staying here. This tower is probably a waste. These villagers should be pulled onto deer. And yeah, just way over macroed onto wood because we wanted to focus on an archer comp. Because in mass numbers, the archers will do pretty good against these Limitane or against the Jav throwers. That's kind of what we wanted to do, but we really need to have a transition into Limitane sooner. And here we have like our first Limitane of the match, 13 minutes in, so way late. And not going to be enough to really do anything. You can see how the Cav really are able to pull back the Limitane, and this is why having a good cavalry mass would have been big. We could have split here. Behind this, we also were finally getting our first Royal Knight out. Again, kind of a big mistake because we didn't get onto our berries sooner. Focusing on to getting that olive oil going as soon as possible is also a really good thing, especially against a winery opener because he's going to get basically 2 free batches. This is a third batch for free. He's got 3 batches of mercenaries, and we're going for his 4th batch of mercenaries now, and we're just sitting on our first batch of mercenaries. So it's a pretty big deal neglecting that oil as much as we did. So we're just trading out here against his jab throwers, but he's going castle, right? And we're going to be in a really bad spot now because villager-wise, sure, we're ahead. But tech-wise, we're going to be really behind, right? We're in the pits with our resources. We got still a thousand wood in the bag for no real reason, right? And we have this first set of knights coming out, and it's just like one set of knights is just not going to be enough to like do anything here. And we're able to like stop him, and we only lost 2 units, and so we're ahead, 5 units or whatever. But yeah, we're just floating a ton of resources, it's just not good. And it's not like we wiped his army either, or we're in a position to wipe his army, right? And he hasn't invested too much more into it. Yeah, the destroyed vibe for him is really, really paid off, and we're just in the pits for our food. We'll drop a tower here because we're worried about this push, but we need to pull villagers off of here a lot sooner. We're dropping barracks because we know we need limitanes, right? We gotta react here, but what are we doing with these 15 villagers on food? We're not gonna be able to do anything with these 15 villagers on food. On wood. And we're just dropping infrastructure, but we need food, right? So finally, we've transitioned villagers onto wood or onto food. But just now we've got 28 villagers on food, right? It's something that we needed before, like significantly before. I don't even know where those 28 villagers are. Here's 11. Here's 21. Here's the rest right here. Okay. So yeah, not great. And it's something we could have used sooner, right? Now that he's got a tech up on us, we're gonna try to tech, but we got just way too much food or wood here. So a market in this scenario I wouldn't have hated, and now our like economy is starting to crank out like units and stuff. So again, this is kind of where that big mistake happened. Is he just kind of outmassed us with limitane, and we weren't able to protect frontline for our archers. And that's really what you have to do. If you can frontline for your archers, you get a lot more worth out of your archers and limitane than he's gonna get for his jab and limitane. But men at arms are here. Care siphons are burning this down, so it's over at this point. Even though we have a villager lead, even though we had the tempo, we lose a couple. We throw away basically our advantage with those units. We never do a good transition until way later, and we over macro wood at this point, right? We're panic transitioning into food, but we're not going to be able to actually like hold it, right? So good game to our opponent. We chatted a little bit afterwards, and yeah, it was basically this transition into here and diving with all those cav here, basically killing one villager to lose all my horsemen, and not having the archers here is cool. But taking those archers and just queuing them over and walking them over, and it's a little bit more APM to do, a little bit more taxing, but it's definitely something that's worth to do. And I just got lazy and complacent about doing it. I didn't do it, but it's really important that you rotate those guys over, as well as getting I think after the 2 horsemen, I think it's pretty important, maybe after 4 horsemen, getting another scout out. So even if it's horsemen, expilatores, and then a scout out, I think it's really important to get that scout out to catch that food transition to a secondary food source, and not just in the Byzantine mirror, but in other matchups as well. So hope you guys liked the video. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you on the next one.